So welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about workplace safety, a topic that has become more important than ever in all industries. According to the latest report from OSHA, 2.3 million US workers face workplace violence each year. This represents 10% of the workforce. And the risk is higher among healthcare workers due to the nature of their work and the daily interactions they have with their patients and loved ones. Many reports estimate that 20 to 30% of healthcare workers face violence every year. In this webinar, we invited the Los Angeles LGBT Center to share how they're taking an important step to provide their staff with a safer working environment and assurance that response is just one click of a button away. The discussion will be held by Kapil Asher, Head of Healthcare Practice at Kontakt.io. Kapil has spent over 10 years of his career helping healthcare facilities enhance their workflow efficiency and provide safety solutions for staff and patients in hospitals. Our guest speaker today is Colonel Thomas, Director of IT Infrastructure and Security at LA LGBT Center. Colonel has led the effort at the center to provide a safe environment to the staff members for the past 7 years. With that, I'll hand over the discussion to Kapil and Colonel.
Thanks, Olivia. Appreciate the introduction. Colonel, thank you once again for participating in this chat. We really appreciate your time. So let's begin about what your organization's mission is. What do you guys do on a day-to-day basis, and maybe what a typical day looks like in your life.
So the Los Angeles LGBT Center provides several services to clients. We provide healthcare services. We also have a youth center, senior services, legal services, and several other departments that provide other services to the LGBTQ community. We have 8 locations, and we continue to grow. We also provide senior housing for the seniors. Day-to-day, the IT department I work in, we provide services for not only the health services, but also senior services and other departments in all the different locations. The health services and seniors and youth center, they do a lot of work with external clients that we work with. So it was important for us to look for something that will work with them.
Okay. So from an IT standpoint, are you kind of in charge of systems in place, from networking equipment, computers,
Yes.
those kinds of things? Okay.
Yep, we're in charge. My department's in charge of all the day-to-day operations, the help desk, the whole infrastructure, any dealing with IT security, building out systems, evaluating and choosing the best systems to help the organization get their job done.
Amazing. And if you don't mind, can you paint a picture regarding the building itself? Like, how big is the facility? How many floors? How is the layout happening over there?
So all of the buildings we have, they are set up a little bit different. So the building that I'm in is called the McDonald Wright Building, which is 4 floors. It's all health services. We also have security and IT housed in this building. Then we have another building called the AMR campus, which is also, depending on the building you're in, it can be 2 floors all the way up to 4 floors. And that also houses some of our homeless youth, the administration staff, senior services, and then we have another building, the campus. The village, which has 2 floors, and then the rest of the other sites are just single floors. They do have multiple offices. Some of them are just open spaces. Some are just closed door offices, cubicles. So it varies depending on the building that you're in.
And they could have resident rooms, patient rooms, exam rooms, those kinds of things as well?
So the McDonald Wright building has about 16 to 17 exam rooms. We also have a mental health department, which also meet with patients in their rooms upstairs on the 4th floor. The other buildings, we have offices that meets with clients. So they have individual offices, or they meet with them within their own offices as well.
Right. That's pretty complex and kind of intricate, different types of building styles that you are operating over there. That's amazing. So tell me something about the staff members. How many staff members come into work every day? What are some of their background from an education and service standpoint, professional standpoint?
So we have close to about 800 employees. Each building has a different set of employees. So, for example, the building I'm in, we have security, anything from security, facilities. We also have providers, mental health staff, doctors, staff, and the IT staff as well. Whereas the other buildings, they have people with different professions. So, for example, in our AMR campus, you have senior services that provide services to all the LGBTQ seniors. You also have the administrative staff, you have development, and you have our design department there with also our youth services that provides different type of services also, as in educational services, housing services for homeless youths. So each building has some little bit people with a little bit of a different background depending on the specialty that the organization needs, depending on which building you're working in.
Amazing. So, given how some of these services could be delicate, right, from a frontline staff member standpoint, do they kind of face verbal, physical abuse on occasion, or more often than on occasion? Is that
Yes,
something you can highlight on?
yes, there are times where we do have people come in and they take advantage of the staff. We've had incidents such as in the youth department where people will come in, take computers, throw it on the floor, or be very disruptive. We've also had the same problem happen in the health services department as well, where you have a disruptive patient. But there are also times where you have someone who needs like medical attention or something, so we can get the ambulance or get security there as soon as possible as well. Depending on which building you're in, you can have a different type of incident. So, for example, the youth, it's mostly disruptive youth or someone that's being a little bit disruptive to the community. Whereas in the health services, it can be anything from a disruptive patient right down to someone needed medical attention that we have to call an ambulance or a doctor to provide medical assistance.
Right. I mean, that sounds like a pretty intense environment, and kudos to the staff member. I mean, I want to just take a minute to appreciate the hard work that they're doing. And Olivia, maybe you can also chime in with the amount of important work the staff members are doing for the community, and what they face on a day-to-day basis. I think it's kind of they deserve applause to no end at that point, right? Um, so sounds like this has been going on, and they've been facing these challenges for a long time, and we've been deployed only for about a year now. What were some of the measures you guys took before Kontakt.io deployment happened? How were they, asking for response, asking for, attention towards an incident, or asking someone from security to come and help them? What were some of the workflows or measures they took?
So we had a system before we got Kontakt.io. But the only problem with the system was it was highly customizable. It wasn't flexible. We couldn't extend it to the other buildings. So they had buttons hidden under the desk that someone could push in the event of an emergency, so they can call security or medical staff altogether. The problem we had with the system was when we went over fully to a new Cisco VoIP system, it didn't integrate well. We were stuck with just the wireless system. And then when we tried to work with the company to say that we wanted to expand it to other buildings, it became this old antiquated system that we had to run some type of Wi-Fi system in the building, radio signals, and it became very costly. And the other problem we have with it is every time technology shift, we had to spend a large amount of money to get the system to shift along with the technology. So it wasn't that great. So that's when we started looking at another system to try and get them to integrate. We're working for a system that could integrate properly into the IT infrastructure that we currently have and can grow as the infrastructure grows or changes.
Okay. So that's some of the reasons why you started looking, and you came across Kontakt.io. What kind of what about Kontakt.io was appealing to you, that made you say, this is the system we can partner with?
So when we looked at Kontakt.io, the part that made me select Kontakt.io was the wireless panic buttons. Every time we looked for someone who had a wireless panic button, the problem that we ran into is we had to have an Ethernet cable in the wall. So that caused a problem because it increased the cost for our switching infrastructure, because now we had to cable up every room with a separate port. The other problem we had was the people who had a wireless system, like a panic button for a wall or something, you had to plug it in, and it didn't make any sense because they claim, yes, you could connect it to your Wi-Fi network, but you needed this long USB cable to connect it into a computer. So when we saw Kontakt.io, the thing that made me choose Kontakt.io was it can connect to our current infrastructure wireless. We didn't have to go around and rewire our whole building or infrastructure in order to get it to work. It was easy to integrate with the other systems, and Kontakt.io was able to work with vendors we were already working with to get the system integrated, so that way we can get the alerts not only on overhead speakers, but on our telephones and other systems that we had in place already. So we didn't have to play the game of let's rip out an infrastructure just to bring something new in to get panic buttons in place. We also love the idea that the panic buttons are portable. So it gave us a choice of we can have it hidden under a desk, or we can do like we did with one department, where they have one of them as a portable panic button that they can walk into a room that don't have any desk or anything, keep it in their pocket, and they can stick their hands in their pocket and hit it if there is an emergency.
Correct, like a wearable device that can be worn, right?
Yeah.
No, so that's awesome, and I would just like to say a couple of things here. Other customers such as yourselves kind of resonate with that message very, very well, because being in IT, you guys are stretched so thin. You have multiple different things to worry about. You don't want to add another thing that you have to spend hours trying to support it, right? So what appeals to these customers such as yourselves is the ease of use, the not having to pull cables, PoE, switch wastage, none of that. At the same time, the APIs are open, they're RESTful, they're web stream oriented. So there's a lot of flexibility in what you can send data to with our system, which most of the older panic alarm systems kind of are closed loop, monopolistic. They can't send data out.
Right.
So I'm glad that is what appealed to you as well.
Yeah, but it worked great. And like I said, the previous system we had, when we tried to expand it, as soon as we got our quotes back, it was very costly. With the Kontakt.io system, we were able to roll it out in one building, test it, made sure it worked. And after working with your technical staff, the consultants, then I took over, and it was so easy to roll out. We were able to get it in all our buildings working, providing different types of alerts, and also integrated with a system that also provides the alerts on our telephone desk phones.
Correct.
So we have different buildings with different ways of how they would like to be alerted. So this building, for example, wanted all the desk phones and the speakers. So areas that didn't have speakers mounted, it alerted on the phones. Another building just wanted to keep it discreet and only alert security. So it was nice where we were able to go into the system, create what type of alert we wanted, and then set the parameters. And again, great integration. So we didn't have to turn around and say, okay, in order to get this, you have to rip out another system. We were able to,
or pay thousands of dollars in
yeah,
professional services to
yeah,
to
we
make
were
that
able
happen.
to work with the IT staff help desk, and they were real flexible and helpful and got us to integrate the system with other systems we have, which is, knock on wood, been working great.
Awesome. Awesome. No, I'm glad to hear that. So when this went live, what was the staff's reaction? Can you give me some highlights on whether it was receptive? Because, you know, depending on which environment you are in, sometimes such systems are not very well received. But what was your impression? What was your staff impression?
Um, the the impression, because we came from a system where they had to push two buttons for the alerts. Some people had to get used to it because it was a one button push. It was very easy. It was very easily hidden under the desk where they could push the button. So we had some staff that they thought it was too sensitive, but once they got accustomed to it, it made it easy for them to do what they needed to do to alert security, whether it is push the button. They didn't have to care about, oh, you have to push it two different ways or one specific way. It was an easy tap the button, the alert went out. The other thing another staff liked was it we give them the option now. So whereas before it was, oh, all you could do is hide it under a desk or pin it on a wall, now we're able to give them an option to say, hey, if you have a room that you have nowhere to hide this panic button, you can have someone just check out a panic button for the room, take it with you. And we also provided an option that if later on we decide to, we can make it a little more portable where we can say, hey, you know what, if you have security walking around, you can give them one and we can set it up to identify where they're at in the building if we choose to go to that route. The great part that I love with this product is it's a badge, so we can choose to make it a badge for each employee, or we can choose to have it as a hidden device. Or, like I said, the way we have it with one of our youth center staff is they check in and check out the badge whenever they need it because they're going into a big community room that a bunch of people are in, or if there's no desk to hide the device.
Correct. And that's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in how you can use the badge. Like you said, it could be a static one on the wall under the desk. You can carry it with you. Typically, our customers like the fact that it's a wearable device, so you can give one to every individual. But like you said, there is a lot of flexibility and a lot of scalability, and whatever works for that environment best is what you want to provide them. You don't want to get them pigeonholed into this is the only way you can do it and no other
Yep.
way, right? So I appreciate you saying that. When the system went live, is there kind of an a reassurance that the staff got of feeling safe, of whether this organization really cares about me as a human being and as an individual who is contributing? Did they kind of get that? And if is there any feedback you can share from
I
them?
think I think the staff felt comfortable once we rolled the devices out and were able to assure them that we had a system that was capable of not only replacing the current system, but a system that works. It's flexible, and we're not stuck with, oh, it could only work in one building. Now we have a system where if somebody has concerns or they want, for example, our Trans Wellness Center and our South LA Center, when we were first putting up those sites, we couldn't get them panic buttons. We even had another site in WeHo where we couldn't get them panic buttons with the old system. With this new system, all they had to do was mention, hey, we wanted the same system that one of the other buildings have for safety. It was great feeling that I can turn to the staff and say, hey, we have a system already. Just let me know what you would like and how you would like it to work, and we'll get it rolled out. And we were able to roll it out within a week, which
powerful.
is great. Whereas the other company we were dealing with before, it would have taken a while. We would have had to build a custom server, get wiring. With this system, it was just, hey, let's test our Wi-Fi system out. We know we have strong wireless signal. Plug up all these devices, and we plugged up enough of the portal lights to flood the building with Bluetooth. So in the event if one portal light goes down, the panic button would still be able to get the signal through. So it felt kind of good being able to provide those solutions. So now whenever a department comes back and says, hey, we'd like some type of system that when we're working with a client, we can be sure that we have something that if we need to alert security or someone, it's there. So it feels good that I can turn around and say, we have a system, we can set it up. How fast do you want it? So we can turn around, make a turnaround date that if we have other projects that we can shift it up, make it 1 day to a 1 week rollout, depending on how large it is.
How large it is. Yeah, that's amazing. And one, I think, final point I wanted to ask you is there, and you can wish to not answer it or whatever, but is there any specific incident that comes to your mind where this system really stepped up and helped you kind of mitigate a risk of injury or something worse?
Don't have one on the top of my head right now. Just the only thing with me is I'm just glad that I'm able to provide a solution to the staff to make sure that when they need either security or an emergency services, that they're able to reach, hit the panic button and get it done.
Okay. Awesome. Colonel, you've been very generous with your time. I really appreciate everything you have said about Kontakt.io and how it's benefiting the LGBT Center. I hope one day all your buildings enabled with a panic alarm, so your staff members feel safe, they feel confident entering the workplace, that they are taken care of. And I really want to thank you for your time today.
Anytime.
Thanks.
Yes, it's been a wonderful discussion for me as well. So thank you again, Kapil and Colonel. And thank you all for joining us today. For more information, please visit the Kontakt.io website or contact us to explore our staff safety solutions and more.